You don't live here anymore. My parents told me not to come home for Easter. I actually laughed when I first heard it. I thought it was a joke, because what kind of parents tell their daughter not to come home? But then my mom didn't laugh. She didn't correct herself. She didn't even soften it. She just said, "It's better if you don't come this year." And just like that, the joke stopped being funny. I remember standing there, phone pressed to my ear, waiting for her to explain. Because there had to be a reason, a real one, something that made sense. Why? I asked. Simple question. But the silence that followed, that silence told me everything. Not confusion, not hesitation, calculation, like she was deciding how much of the truth I deserved. There's just not enough space, she finally said. I frowned. What do you mean there's no space? It's complicated, she replied quickly. That word, complicated, the universal way of saying, I don't want to explain this to you. But I didn't let it go. It's my home, I said. Or at least, I thought it was. Another pause, longer this time. Then she said something that didn't just confuse me, it shifted something inside me. You don't really live here anymore. I didn't respond, because my brain hadn't caught up yet, didn't process it, didn't understand how we went from Easter plans to you don't live here. I moved out for work, I said slowly. I didn't disappear. I still come home, not as often as before, but enough. Birthdays, holidays, random weekends when I needed a break. Enough to believe I still belonged there. My mom sighed, like I was the difficult one. You barely come anymore, she said. Barely. That word landed harder than it should have, because suddenly, all the times I didn't come home felt like evidence against me. Long work weeks, missed holidays, canceled visits, things that made sense at the time. But now they sounded like excuses. I've been busy, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. Work has been a lot lately. We understand, she replied. But she didn't sound like she did. She sounded finished, like the decision had already been made, and I was just catching up to it. Then what's the problem? I asked. Another pause. Then, your sister needed the space. That sentence didn't hit all at once. It unfolded, slowly, painfully. My sister needed my room, I asked. It just made more sense, she said. Made more sense, that phrase. So calm, so logical, like we were talking about rearranging furniture, not replacing me. What does that mean? I asked. And this time, she didn't dodge it. She's been using your room. Using, present tense. Not planning to, not thinking about, already happening. How long? Too long. Mom, how long? A few weeks. A few weeks. I swallowed. Because that meant this wasn't sudden. This wasn't a last-minute decision. This had been happening without me knowing, without anyone telling me. And that's when something shifted. Not anger. Not yet. Just awareness. Because I realized something uncomfortable. They didn't forget to tell me. They chose not to. Why didn't you say anything? I asked. We didn't think it was a big deal, she replied. Not a big deal. I almost laughed, because apparently losing your place in your own home wasn't worth mentioning. I'll just come and stay in my room, I said, trying to keep things simple, trying to hold on to something normal. But that's when she said it, the line that ended everything. You can't. 2 words, flat, final. Why not? I asked. Even though I already knew. Because it's not your room anymore. Silence. Real silence. The kind that fills your chest and doesn't leave. Because in that moment, it wasn't just about a room. It was about what that room meant. My space, my history, my childhood. Gone. Reassigned. Like I was never really part of it. Where am I supposed to stay? I asked. And I don't know why that question hurt so much. Maybe because it sounded temporary, like I was a guest, not family. We can figure something out, she said. That phrase again, vague, like a placeholder for a solution that didn't exist. I'll take the couch, I said, trying, still trying, but even that wasn't enough. It might be better if you don't come, she said, and there it was, the truth. Not hidden, not softened, just said it's easier that way. Easier, for who? Because it definitely wasn't easier for me. I didn't respond, because I didn't trust what would come out if I did. So I just stood there, holding my phone, listening to the silence on the other end. And then she said something that made everything worse. Your sister worked really hard on it, not in it, not using it, transforming it. That's when I felt it. Not confusion, not sadness, something sharper. Dread. Send me a picture, I said. I don't know why I asked. Maybe I thought it wouldn't be that bad. Maybe I thought there would still be something of me left, but deep down, I already knew. Okay, she said, too quickly. Like she was relieved, I asked. Like she wanted me to see it. And that was the moment I should have understood. This wasn't temporary. This wasn't shared. This wasn't accidental. This was intentional. A few seconds later, my phone buzzed. A message from my sister. Look what I did with the space. The space. Not your room, not our room, the space. I stared at the message for a long time. My thumb hovered over it because suddenly I didn't want to open it, not because I was scared of what I'd see, but because I knew once I saw it, I wouldn't be able to pretend anymore, that everything was still the same, that I still had a place there, that I still belonged. But eventually, I opened it, and everything changed. Because what I saw in that picture wasn't just different, it wasn't just rearranged. It was gone. Everything. Every trace of me completely erased. I didn't open the picture right away. Can just stared at the message. Look what I did with the space. The space. Not your room. Not our room. Just space. Like whatever was there before didn't matter. Like whoever it belonged to didn't matter. My thumb hovered over the screen. Because suddenly, I didn't want to see it. Not because I thought it would be bad, but because I had a feeling it would be final. Like once I opened it, there would be no going back to how things felt 5 minutes ago, to believing I still had a place there, but eventually I tapped the image loaded slowly. And at first, I didn't understand what I was looking at. It looked like a different room, brighter, cleaner, full, too full. There were clothes everywhere, not messy, organized. Racks, shelves, hangers, shoes lined up like a store display, makeup across the desk, mirrors, lights. It looked like a walk-in closet, a carefully designed one. Expensive, intentional, and for a second, I thought she sent it to the wrong person, because this wasn't my room. But then I noticed something. The window, same angle, same light. Then the wall, same color, and then the corner, where my desk used to be. Except, it wasn't there anymore. That's when it hit. This was my room, or at least it used to be. I zoomed in, slowly, like I was hoping. Maybe I missed something. Maybe something of mine was still there. A book, a photo, anything. But there wasn't. Not a single thing. No bed, no desk, no clothes, no trace. It wasn't rearranged. It wasn't shared. It was replaced, completely. And the worst part? It didn't look temporary. It looked permanent. Like this had been planned. Like time had been spent on it. Like decisions were made, without me. I didn't realize I had stopped breathing until my chest tightened. Because the more I looked, the worse it got. The shelf where I used to keep my books, gone. The wall where I had photos, clean, blank, like I had never been there, like I had never existed in that space at all. I don't know how long I stared at it. Seconds, minutes. It felt longer, because I wasn't just looking at a picture. I was watching proof. Proof that something had changed, without me even realizing it. My phone buzzed again. Another message. You like it? I didn't respond. I didn't even know how to, because what was I supposed to say? Looks great, thanks for erasing me. Instead, I did the only thing I could think of. I called my mom. She picked up on the second ring. Did you see it? She asked. Her tone wasn't careful. It wasn't worried. It was proud, like she was expecting a reaction, a positive one. I saw it, I said. My voice sounded strange, flat, like it didn't belong to me. It looks nice, right? She said. Nice. That word almost made me laugh, because apparently this was about design, not displacement. Where are my things? I asked. There was a pause, not long, but noticeable. We packed them, she said. Packed, past tense, already done. Where? I asked. Another pause, this one longer. Somewhere safe, she replied. Somewhere, not a location, not a place, just somewhere. I tightened my grip on the phone. What does that mean? It means they're fine, she said quickly. That's not what I asked. Silence. Because she knew that too. I don't remember exactly where everything is, she admitted. That sentence landed harder than anything else, because it meant one thing. They didn't just move my things. They didn't care enough to remember where they put them. Like my life was just clutter, something to clear out. Did you go through my stuff? I asked. Another pause. We had to organize things, she said. Organize. Such a clean word. Such a harmless word. But it didn't feel harmless, it felt invasive, like someone had opened pieces of my life and decided what mattered and what didn't. You should have told me, I said. We didn't think it was a big deal, she replied. That line again. Not a big deal. I closed my eyes because I was starting to understand something. This wasn't just a misunderstanding. This wasn't poor communication. This was perspective. To me, this was everything. To them, it was nothing. You got rid of my room, I said. We didn't get rid of it, she corrected. We repurposed it. Repurposed. I let out a quiet breath, because somehow that word made it worse. Like I was an old object, something outdated, something no longer needed. You didn't even ask me, I said. You're not here, she replied. Simple, direct, final. And in that moment, everything became clear. This wasn't about space. This wasn't about practicality. This was about presence. And in their minds, I wasn't present anymore, so I didn't count. I'm still your daughter, I said. The silence that followed said more than anything she could have replied, because she didn't argue, she didn't reassure me, she didn't correct it, she just let it sit. And that's when I realized something that hurt more than the room, more than the picture, more than the missing things. I wasn't part of the decision, because I wasn't part of the equation anymore. I looked at the picture one last time, zoomed in again, searching for anything, anything that proved I still belonged there. But there was nothing, no trace, no memory, no sign that I had ever lived in that room at all. And that's when it hit me. They didn't just take my space, they erased me from it. I didn't sleep that night, not because I was angry, but because my mind wouldn't stop replaying it. The picture, that room, the way my mom said we packed them, like my entire life could fit into a few boxes, like it didn't matter where it ended up. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw it again. The shelves, the clothes, the empty space where I used to exist. And the worst part? It didn't feel like a mistake. It felt planned, carefully, quietly, without me. By morning, I stopped trying to make sense of it, because there was only one thing I needed to know. Did I still have a place there, or not? So I did the simplest thing I could think of. I called my mom again. She answered quickly this time. Hey, she said, like nothing had happened, like we hadn't just had a conversation that changed everything. I'm coming home for Easter, I said. No hesitation, no softness, that this was all just a misunderstanding. This would fix it. There was a pause, short, but enough. About that, she said, and immediately I knew. Something in my chest tightened. What about it? I asked. We're just trying to figure out logistics, she replied. Logistics. That word didn't belong here. Not in a conversation about coming home, not in a conversation about family. I'll stay in my room, even though I had seen the picture, even though I understood. But part of me still needed to hear it. You can't, she said. Flat, like she was repeating something already decided. I'll take the couch then, I replied quickly, adjusting, compromising, trying to fit into a space that clearly didn't exist for me anymore. Another pause, longer this time. I don't think that's a good idea, because I didn't want to push too hard, didn't want to turn this into something bigger, even though it already was. It's just things are different now, she said. Different, that word again. Vague, safe, meaning everything and nothing at the same time. I'm not asking for anything complicated, I said. I just want to come home for a few days. Silence. Because apparently that was complicated. We could book you a hotel nearby. Everything stopped. A hotel. I didn't respond because I needed a second to process what she had just said. A hotel. Not will make space. Not will figure it out. A hotel. Like I was visiting. Like I was a guest. Like I didn't belong there anymore. You want me to stay in a hotel while you're all at home? I asked. It's just more comfortable for everyone, she replied. Optional. I grew up in that house, I said. I lived in that room for years. And now I need a hotel? No answer, because there wasn't a good one. It's just for a few days, she said. Like that made it better. Like temporary exclusion wasn't still exclusion. I'll take the couch, I said again. More firmly this time, because I wasn't asking anymore. I was holding on to something. There really isn't space, she said. There's too much going on. Too much going on. I almost laughed because I had seen the room. There was plenty of space, just not for me. What about the living room? I asked. We'll have people over, she replied. People, guests, strangers, people who apparently mattered more than me. That's when something inside me shifted. Not loudly, not dramatically. It wasn't a question, it was a realization. She didn't answer right away, and that was answer enough. It's just easier if you don't come this year, she finally said. Easier, that word again. Always easier, when I'm the one being removed. I didn't respond, because there was nothing left to say, nothing left to argue, nothing left to misunderstand. This wasn't about space. This wasn't about logistics. This wasn't, and they had already made theirs, without me. I ended the call, not dramatically, not angrily, just quietly, and for a few seconds I just stood there, phone still in my hand, trying to understand how something so simple, coming home, had become impossible. That's when my phone buzzed. Another message from my sister. "You're not coming, right?" Mom said it might. She was part of it. And she wasn't even trying to hide it. "I wanted to come," I typed, then deleted it, because it didn't matter. Nothing I said would change anything. So instead, I just didn't reply, and that silence felt louder than anything I could have said. That night, I sat alone, staring at my phone, realizing something I hadn't fully accepted until that moment. Easter morning felt quiet, not peaceful, not calm, just empty. The kind of empty that makes every small sound feel louder. The ticking clock, the hum of the fridge, my own breathing. I woke up earlier than I needed to. Out of habit, I guess. Because for years, Easter meant something. It meant going home, waking up to noise, voices, laughter, the smell of food in the kitchen, my mom calling out from the hallway, my sister complaining about something small. It was never perfect, but it was familiar. It was mine. At least I thought it was. Now, it was just another day. I stayed in bed for a while, not because I was tired, but because getting up meant accepting it. Accepting that I wasn't going home, because I wasn't allowed to. Eventually, I got up anyway, made coffee, sat by the window, and tried not to think about it. Tried not to, even when you don't want it to. I could picture it perfectly. The table set, the decorations, the conversations, and somewhere in the background, my room. Except it wasn't mine anymore. That thought came back over and over again, like a loop I couldn't stop. I picked up my phone, scrolled aimlessly, tried to distract myself. But then, I made a mistake. Easter with the fam. I stared at it, not because it was surprising, but because it was complete. Everything looked normal, happy, like nothing was missing, like I wasn't missing. I tapped the next photo. My parents, laughing, relaxed, comfortable, like they hadn't just told their daughter not to come home, like that decision didn't exist. And then, more finished, more hers, the clothes, the mirrors, the lights, everything arranged perfectly, like it had always been that way, like I had never been part of it. I zoomed in, I don't know why. Maybe I was still hoping I'd find something, a trace, a reminder, proof that I had existed there. But there was nothing, not a single thing. And that, the words felt heavy, real, because that's what this was, not distance, not misunderstanding, replacement. And the worst part, they didn't see anything wrong with it. My phone buzzed, a message from my mom. "Happy Easter, fine." I stared at it, because the timing felt unreal, like we were living in two completely different realities. Because what was I supposed to say? "Happy Easter, thanks for replacing me." Another message came, this time from my sister. "You should have come, it's fun." I actually laughed, not because it was funny, because it was unbelievable. The lack of awareness, the lack of care, or maybe it wasn't lack. Maybe it was just honesty, because to them, this wasn't a big deal. Couldn't keep watching a version of my life that didn't include me anymore. I sat there for a long time, not crying, not angry, just still. Because something inside me was changing, not breaking, not falling apart, settling into something quieter, something clearer. Because for the first time, I wasn't trying to fix it. I wasn't trying to, without including me, without even considering me. And that hurt, more than anything else, because it meant something simple. I wasn't necessary, not to their home, not to their routine, not to their life. And once you realize that, something shifts, because you stop asking, "How do I get back?" And you start asking, "Why would I want to?" That question stayed with me long after the day ended, because it changed something fundamental. Not about them, about me. That night, as I turned off the lights, I said something out loud, not to anyone else, just to myself. I don't have a home there anymore. And for the first time, instead of feeling pain, I felt something else: space. After Easter, something changed. Not suddenly, not dramatically, quietly, like a switch flipping somewhere deep inside me. I stopped checking my phone first thing in the morning, stopped waiting for messages, stopped expecting anything, not because I didn't care, but because I finally understood something. Nothing was coming, at least nothing that mattered. The calls slowed down, then stopped, and for the first time, I didn't chase them, didn't call back, didn't fill the silence. I just let it exist. At first, it felt strange, like I was doing something wrong, like I was supposed to fix it, because that's what I had always done: fix things, smooth things over, made things easier. But this time, I didn't, and something surprising happened. The silence didn't hurt as much as I thought it would. It actually felt peaceful, not empty like before, not heavy, just quiet. And in that quiet, like how much time I actually had, how much energy I wasn't spending, trying to hold something together, something that clearly didn't want to stay together. I focused on work, picked up extra shifts, started saying yes to opportunities I used to turn down, not because I needed to prove anything, but because I finally had space to think about myself. For once. Weeks passed, then months, and slowly my life started to feel different, more stable. Nothing huge, nothing fancy, but it was mine. Every corner of it, every decision, every detail. No one could take it. No one could repurpose it. No one could erase me from it. And that mattered more than I expected, because for the first time, I didn't feel temporary. I didn't feel replaceable. I didn't feel like I was just fitting into someone else's space. I had my own, and that changed everything. I stopped replaying the picture, because it didn't matter anymore. Not in the way it used to. But then one evening, my phone rang. I looked at the screen, and for a second, I didn't recognize the number. Then I did. Home. I stared at it, not anxious, not excited, just neutral, like it didn't have power over me anymore. It rang once, twice, 3 times. I almost didn't answer. It's been a while, like nothing had happened, like months hadn't passed in silence. Yeah, I said, short, simple, because I wasn't going to fill the space anymore. We've been meaning to call, she continued. Meaning to. Another soft excuse. What's up? I asked. Straight to the point. Another pause, and this one felt different. Less confident, less controlled. Well, things have been a little How? I asked. And that's when it started. Small details at first. Your sister's been overwhelmed. The house has been a mess. Things aren't as easy as before. And I listened, quietly, because I already knew what was coming, even before she said it. We were thinking, maybe you could come by this weekend. There it was, the ask. Not direct, not honest, but clear. They needed something. And suddenly, I was relevant, just aware. Why? I asked. Silence, because that question forced honesty. And honesty wasn't something they were used to giving me. It would just be nice to have you here, she said. Nice. I almost smiled, because now it was nice. Before, it was inconvenient. Before, there was no space. Before, it was easier if I didn't come. And now it was nice. I let the silence sit, just like they used to. You told me I don't live there anymore. Nothing on the other end. No quick response. No correction. Just silence. The kind of silence that finally understands something. That's not what we meant, she said quietly. But it was. We both knew it. Because intentions don't matter as much as actions, and their actions were very clear. I needed a place to stay for Easter, I continued. You told me to get a hotel. Silence again. No way to soften it. No way to pretend it didn't happen. We didn't think, she started. I know, I interrupted. And for the first time, I didn't feel angry. I didn't feel hurt. I just felt done. Done explaining. Done justifying. Done trying to fit into something that had already pushed me out. I have my own place now, I said. Simple, neutral, but it meant everything. Because it wasn't just about space. Oh, she said softly, and I could hear it. That shift, that realization, that things weren't the same anymore, that I wasn't the same anymore. We just thought maybe things could go back to normal, she added. Normal, that word again. But this time, it didn't mean anything. Because what we had before wasn't normal. It was one-sided, and I had finally stepped out of it. There isn't a normal to go back to, I said. Not harsh, another long silence. Because this time, they didn't have an answer, didn't have control, didn't have anything to say that would fix it. And for the first time, I wasn't the one trying to fix it either. You told me I didn't live there anymore, I said quietly. And eventually, I stopped trying to prove you wrong. I ended the call. And this time, the silence didn't feel empty. It felt earned,